Hello everybody, welcome to another review. So I'm going to be reviewing a brand new album by Foo Fighters, Your Favourite Toy. I do apologise for not uploading many reviews, so I'm hopefully going to get a bit more out this week. I've just been absolutely drained from work, and I've lost kind of a little bit of motivation with a lot of stuff going on IRL to get as many reviews out. So hopefully now we've got some free time, I can get some more up. So Your Favourite Toy is the band's 12th record. Honestly, I wasn't really excited for this album as I have been with any other Foo Fighters record. Somehow. My first taste of a brand new experience of Foo Fighters with Concrete and Gold, which was also my first taste of a Foo Fighters experience in general. I have listened to a few songs prior, but I feel like it was Run, the lead single of Concrete and Gold, that reeled me in, and then they dropped two more singles, The Sky's a Neighborhood and not La Di Da La Line, which honestly I quite liked all three of them, and I actually grew to really enjoy Concrete and Gold. At first I did think I was a bit mixed, but after a few listens I really enjoyed the variety it had. I just felt like it was probably the best idea of a record from Foo Fighters in a while. I mean, at least since Wasting Light, which is only like one album difference, but honestly, Concrete and Gold ended up being one of my more favorited Foo Fighters albums, and I felt like I was always in the minority that really enjoyed this record more than a lot of other people. A lot of people preferred the earlier stuff from Foo Fighters, and anything that came after Wasting Light was often seen as not that good, so it was kind of hard to see where I stood with it. But the problem with Concrete and Gold, it wasn't even a bad album, it was just the mixing put a lot of people off, and that's kind of the big issue. I guess some of the songs' writings wasn't that great either, but I honestly think the album, besides one or two songs, was relatively very enjoyable. But then I kind of trailed with the next album, Medicine at Midnight, in 2021. This was one of the weakest Foo Fighters albums, a disco album that just generally felt so forced by Greg Kurstin, and I just couldn't get over the idea of why they had to do this. It just felt like such an unusual direction. I feel like some of the most hype from this album was misleading. No Son of Mine was supposed to be the heaviest song, but it ended up just feeling like a knockoff Motorhead track. Literally, listen to Ace of Spades, it just literally feels like their biggest song, parodied into this party feel. And there's some good ideas, but I just can't really get into the album much because it has a lot of lacking of the Foo Fighters energy I enjoy. But then the band did their next record, But Here We Are, which I think is one of their best albums in their entire discography. It's a true 180 after the kind of decline in their sound, while unfortunately having to take the aspect of Dave Grohl had unfortunately experienced some passings and close ones, and one of them being mainly Taylor Hawkins, the drummer from Foo Fighters. And there was also the mention of his mum who passed away as well, these pretty much are mentioned in songs like Rest as well. There's a bunch of songs that kind of lay onto the more where do we go from here, I'm so screwed, like I don't know how I'm gonna get through this. Just there's so much like grieving on this record, but I feel like the emotional aspect and the creative ideas and writing made this one of the best experiences for a full-blown Foo Fighters records in a long time. It's at least the best thing since Wasting Light. But now we got Your Favourite Toy, can talk about that one. I just don't think this one is even close to Foo Fighters' greatness. I think the biggest problem with it is just the production is so bad on this one. I don't understand what they were going for with this kind of weird production. And they tease us with Your Favourite Toy, a single I just didn't care for at all. It just felt like such a weird, punky blend of this very awful, mixed, self-produced sort of sound that 16-year-olds would do in their own garage just as they want to record some demos, and that's kind of how I felt with this. And since Your Favourite Toy was that kind of sound that really ignited the direction of the record, I just didn't really feel it, unfortunately. I feel like this was probably one of the worst tastes of a Foo Fighters sound, and I think that's the biggest problem with this album, because idea-wise and energy-wise, it's Foo Fighters, and it does have some pretty fun ideas to it, but the production makes it so hard to get into it that a lot of the songs just feel the same as each other. There's not much variation, whereas most Foo Fighters songs you could identify one by one, because there was a lot of variation to make the songs feel original and unique, but here there's not many that do that. There are some definite standouts. Asking for a Friend is the lead single. I wasn't thrilled with it, but I didn't mind it either, and I think it's a better lead single choice than we had for stuff like Medicine at Midnight, that's for sure. But I just don't really see what they were going for with blending this one into the sound, because I think Asking for a Friend kind of feels a little bit weird on the context of the record, as I think this is probably one of the better polished tracks of the album as well. There's just so many songs that just kind of suffer because of its production, like Your Favourite Toy is a big example. I wasn't really thrilled with some songs like Amen Caveman or Spit Shine because of it, as one track I do quite like is Caught in the Echo, but I only like it because it does have some crazy fun ideas with Foo Fighters. But Caught in the Echo has one big problem: it just feels like Congregation, but weaker. And that's one thing that I feel like, even if Caught in the Echo is one of the better songs, that still doesn't thrill me. Of All People is a decent song, I didn't mind this one, but it's not really one I think about much. And we also had Window be a standout. This one's fine. I think it's got some charm to it. I like the story, I like the writing on this one, but the writing is also a big problem with this as well. Some of the lyrics, Of All People is one of them, for example, where I just think the lyrics are shit, and they just repeat so much. Like, the more in-depth writing of Dave Grohl sort of faded when we had Today's Song release, and I felt like that was one of the weakest releases from Foo Fighters, and I can see why that was not planned to be on this record. It was a standalone. But yeah, I'm not really thrilled with the writing on this record, especially Your Favourite Toy. This one just generally just felt weak as hell. But the variety we had on this album is what I really wish we had more variety. Some good songs though. Child Actor is definitely a standout. I actually like this one more than I thought. Unconditional's not too bad either, and I can see why this one was played as a song live before the album came out. But the album is just so underwhelming. For three-year wait, it just feels like we've almost had nothing new. And while we've got 10 whole songs here, I just feel like because a lot of them sound the same, you're not really getting much of an experience or thrill from this. It just feels like, oh, Foo Fighters released a new album. Oh, okay, that was an album, and that's it. Like, I appreciate what they're doing, and I do like the fact that they're trying to put in a bit more of a heavier sound to some of it, but I just don't really feel engaged with much of the songs here. I just feel like what made Foo Fighters work is they can manage to blend grunge, post-grunge into their sound with alternative hard rock as well, and it had some really good ideas and they can mask into it. But here I just feel like they're relying too much on that garage punk, weaker produced sound, and this is a band with millionaires in them, and this is Dave Grohl, for God's sake, in charge of decision making. I don't know what it is with wanting bad production, because the last few albums weren't the best produced, but this is not with Greg Kurstin, so I don't know what happened here. This is probably the worst produced album they've done, and I feel like it's probably one of those albums where it's not going to be their worst, but it's going to be kind of their more nothing burger of an album. I just don't really get much enjoyment from this as I want to. It just kind of feels like a fine album. It's serviceable is probably the best way to put it. I don't really think it's bad, but it's inoffensive. I just feel like there's nothing to it that really makes this album feel like a true fun Foo Fighters experience, especially with But Here We Are as the last album, which was a definite highlight in their career, especially this late into it. Your Favourite Toy just kind of feels like a big step backwards into a pit of nothing, so I don't really know. Maybe it's just I need to listen to this one more. I mean, I did mouth off a bit about Skin Dread, and I've already planned to do a re-release review of it, because I was definitely wrong about that. But the Foo Fighters album, I've listened to this one a few times, and I just don't think it's going to click with me the same way Skin Dread would, so I'm going to have to give this one a 2.5 out of 5. I don't think it's the worst album of theirs, but it's not far from the bottom, in my opinion. So I hope you'll enjoy. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next video.